Hey, everybody, and welcome to this week's episode of That Real Estate Tech Guy. I'm your host, Jordan Samuel Fleming. And this week, we've got a fantastic episode with my friend Bree Hartman from the Storage School. Bree she's got a great story, first of all, and she's a great communicator. I actually had the pleasure of meeting Bree in person at a mastermind a couple weeks ago in Orlando, and we had a great conversation. I knew I had to get her on the podcast. Um, Not only does she have a really compelling story in her own right, but obviously she's bringing some real deep insight into where the market is for self-storage and where the opportunity is. And one of the things I love about this conversation is we talked a lot about the idea of businesses, unsexy businesses with cash flow, right? And as someone who has owned my own businesses for many, like decades now, cash is always my number one concern when you've got a business because you're out of cash and you're dead. Cash is still king. Having money in the bank as a business doesn't matter what you're valued at if you can't pay your bills. And we talk a lot about that. We actually, Bree shares her screen and kind of dives into how you can go about finding the sort of sweet spot of mom and pop storage facilities that are available to buy. And it really is it's a fascinating insight into a type of commercial real estate that not enough people understand. And that the opportunity right now is really, really high and only growing, as she talks about. But also, it's a great example of someone who, you know, started a career in real estate, decided she didn't want to deal with people and rents and toilets and tenants, as she says, and found a path that really suits her, and now has a community where she helps people have that dream themselves. So I highly recommend you check out Bree's um, storage school. I highly recommend you check out the links that we've dropped in here so you can contact Bree directly. And really, just this is a fantastic opportunity to learn from someone who has figured it out and come up with a great niche for herself and teaches other people to do it. Word of warning, somewhere around the 18-minute mark or so, the internet craps out on us and there was a little problem. We had to restart. So there may be a little of a jar there. My apologies. Nothing we could have done about that. But dive in right now with me and my conversation with Bree Hartman. And I'm live here with Bree Hartman from Storage School. Bree, fantastic to see you again. We were just together in Orlando a couple weeks ago. Give everybody a little introduction of who you are and what you do.
Yes. So Bree Hartman, I'm actually over in Sacramento, California. And so I like to say that, we've acquired over $8 million worth of self-storage facilities right now. And we're actually like in the trenches, just kind of like buying more facilities. But I always say it didn't start like that. So I've had like 9 lives. And really, I think from, the traditional route, like went the W-2 route and worked for Fish and Wildlife for 8 years and then got into entrepreneurship. So I laugh, I had one accidental rental that kind of led into buying my first self-storage facility while I was pregnant. So definitely a big story. So if you want to hear a little bit more about that.
Well, so I mean, obviously, doing that while pregnant as well. That you've that's an achievement and a challenge in its own self. So in terms of like the driver to go towards this, what was the key part that really made you think, man, I need to get out of the W-2 side of things and I want to do something on my own because that's a risky thing. It's not something everybody does, and it's certainly not something I necessarily see people do if they're pregnant, because that you've got so much on, and it's such a difficult thing. So tell us a bit about that.
Yeah. So I think it's just a very interesting, segue is like I went, my dad said, go get that stable job, right? Like go to college and that's kind of like do the American dream. And so that's kind of what I did. And I ended up working for the state as a W-2 for 8 years, which was outstanding. Didn't know I was an entrepreneur. So definitely like beat my head up right on that block. And so when I became pregnant with my baby girl, I was like, gosh, I gotta, I want to do more. And so I bought another house like across the street. I rented out my primary home. And that was my first indicator like, oh my gosh, I want to own 20 houses. And that was like right during the start of COVID. And that really brought into like, you start to learn once you rent out your first home that you've got toilets, you've got, black mold, service dogs, and just a lot of things. And I'm like, oh my gosh, I'd have to own 20 of these. Like, this is just another job. And so my bigger thought was like, I'm like, okay, like, I'm not this young chicken like all these 22-year-olds. Like, how do I go and think bigger? And so that really was, hearing on the podcast, someone said no toilets, no tenants, no employees, self storage, right? More cash flow. And I'm like, that's my one thing. Like, it's my one thing. And I want to go out there and go buy a self storage facility. So that was the joke in the family was, hey, is the baby going to come first or is the storage facility going to come first? And it took me about 9 months to find like the right deal. And while I was pregnant and also like running my other business, we finally found that facility. And so that was kind of like the story is that first facility. We got it actually, with an SBA loan. So purchasing this, like I didn't come from a lot of money. So I was like, how do I buy a facility? Which is with a small business association loan, which means that you only have to put 10 to 15% down, which is different than the traditional 35. And then I partnered with two other people. And out of all the places, this facility is in Louisiana. So all the way across the US from where I live today. So a little background. Yeah.
So tell me then, I mean, looking at at trying to decide that first facility, what were the things in your mind at the time were you looking for to make that first purchase? And also, as you've now gotten so much experience, has that changed? Has experience changed what you look for? That's sort of two sides of that question.
Yeah, yeah. So, I think what really stood out in this property in this deal, it was a $3.1 million facility and it was definitely a value add. So the owner was like tired, had owned it for many years. And there was a website, but there wasn't a very good marketing plan. And he was also 30% below market rates from all the other storage facilities. And so there was so much potential with, hey, buy it right? And then go in there, raise rates. And then also there's an additional 3 acres of property. So, and a cell tower. So our goal is to actually in the next year is building out another 40,000 square feet of climate controlled on that facility. So, multiple different levers so that you can reduce your risk as well as cash flow. So really cool. We've increased prices. If you guys like numbers, I love numbers, about 67% in about 4 years. And so very much have pushed rates towards depreciation and we get to cash flow every single month as well as that facility is worth about 4.7 million now. So yeah, nice little turnaround.
And then as you've kind of gotten so far into this world, has your buy box changed a little? What have you kind of developed a broader sense of where different opportunities are? Um,
Yeah.
how has that experience changed what you look for, or has it remained very consistent?
It's, that's what I like to say, even like in our self storage school, is what we teach is like we're buying in these third and fourth tier markets. Like we're still buying these mom and pop facilities and wanting to share with you, like there's about 70,000 storage facilities in the US. And about 67% of those are mom and pop still, which means that they are, unsophisticated, don't have a website, or if they have a website, it says you can't actually take automation. You can't actually rent out a unit online. And so those are the facilities that we're looking to purchase, as well as ones that have a little bit of expandable land. So that means that you can then go add portable units or build out another, 10,000 or 20,000 square feet to add to that property. So those are just a few in addition to like you can also add, I think a lot of people don't understand, and I'll give you guys the basics with self storage. It is a commercial real estate asset, so it's real estate and it's a business. And so we always like to treat it, like that. But the biggest part to this is that there's lots of different revenue streams. It's a boring business. And so I love this because there is a lot of systems in place and no toilets, no tenants, and everything that we buy is remotely managed. So there is no one on site at all. It's just a call center and a boots on the ground. That's a 1099 contractor. But the whole point in this is that, these different 8 revenue streams can come from climate controlled units, drive up units, RV and boat. We've got a lot of RV and boat because people love their toys. We've got cell towers that pay us money. We rented out our office space. So we actually have no one there in the office. And so they pay us about $1,000 a month, which is really nice. Um, there's also tenant protection plans that you can upsell. So every one of our tenants, like 300 units, all pay at $12 each, as an upsell to have a tenant protection plan, or they have to share with us their homeowner's insurance. So there's a lots of just different ways that you can really, I think use a storage property. And a lot of people are using storage in different ways as an easy button now to society, right? Because we love buying things. Like in America, we love buying Amazon, like a package, 3 packages today, right? And so it's like, where do we put all our stuff, right? Especially as prices go up in, rents and all these different things happen. So that's a little bit about, I think what we're looking for now is multiple different revenue streams that maybe other owners that have owned it for 10 years haven't thought about, as well as some of those easy value adds that you can do immediately.
Now, I'm sorry to interrupt this amazing conversation, but I wanted to make sure you knew that Smartphone, the only phone system built for real estate investors, connects to the best-in-class real estate investing CRMs. And because, as it's my show and I am co-founder and chairman of Smartphone, I got some great deals for you. Click the link and take advantage of 5,000 minutes free calling with Smartphone, the only phone system built for real estate investors. Click and call. Close more leads. Back to the show. And presumably then, you have developed, or not only have you developed a rigorous set of processes on how to run these units, but you've also must have developed a good technological understanding and capability to basically buy these mom and pop units and transform it into the remote owned, remote managed capability that you're doing. So what kind of, like, from a sort of I'd equate it to a rehab of a house, right? If you're,
Yeah.
you buy a house and then you rehab it so that you can sell it. What you're doing is buying a mom and pop storage unit and rehabbing that to be able to work with, presumably within your remote management structure. Is that kind of
Yeah.
what you have to do?
Exactly. Yeah. And I think what's beautiful, I think just the difference between, and wanting to go from like leveraging, right, residential into larger asset classes is that, in residential, and just put this as it is that it's like you're waiting for, no matter how nice your marble kitchen looks and how nice you make that house, you're waiting for that appreciation to happen, right, at that neighborhood. And versus like if you buy commercial real estate and self storage, you can find these mom and pops. And this is what I teach my self-storage school students to do is like, where are these ones that have no facilities or no websites? And then how can we add value to that and force it within 3 years? And we laugh because in a storage flip, we call it a storage flip. It takes about 3 years to force that appreciation. But we bought a property, just as an example, for $500,000 seller financing. And we've added, increased prices over time, added a remote management system, and then we'll be selling that property for about 1.2 million this year. And so to 2x it in 3 years, which is really, really incredible. So just wanted to show you guys that capability. And then, like, I think your second question was, remote management, especially as the tech, person, how do you take something? And this is what I love about storage is how do you take an unsophisticated owner and then add and apply systems, right? And AI. And I feel so blessed because self-storage, right? Like it's a very simple business that's sticky. And you don't have to have anyone there. Like I do not love like babysitting employees like McDonald's or a restaurant sounds like the worst industry to me. But, good for them, right, to figuring that out. I like super simple businesses, and so just to give you guys an example, when we take a facility on, I don't even know, we bought this, facility and they had a 40-hour-a-week employee. So we peeled off $42,000 a year from this employee, and we put remote management systems. And so what this looks like is, we go on Google Maps, someone will find our facility that's probably in a 5 or 10-mile radius from their home. They'll go and say, hey, I need a 10 by 10 climate controlled unit for $162, right? They'll click on the button. they'll pay for it. And as soon as they pay for it, immediately they have to upload their driver's license, front and back, and then they have to sign a 1 month lease. So it's not a year lease like residential, it's 1 month. So we can always increase prices month after month if we choose. But once that happens, a workflow happens that easily sends a automatic or like a customized gate code to their cell phone and email, and then a customized lock code to their phone and email. And so all what they've got to do, right, is go to that facility under that address, Google Maps it, right? Get there, put their custom lock or gate code in there, drive up to their unit, put their, universal lock code in there. They'll take our lock off, move their stuff in, put their lock back on, and then drop our lock off, or they get charged. That's an add-on. And go out our business, go leave our business presence. But our customer service, like we have QR codes throughout the whole entire premise. We've got automations if people want to talk to someone, can get help from there. But really, we don't need anyone to be there. Everything has a system and a place, so that it gets to be easy and automated. So I just wanted to share with you, and then having AI, right? Like as you talk about AI coming onto this, world, we're utilizing it in so many different ways because as a business owner, the two things that we do is every single week and every single month is like, how do I increase revenue and how do I decrease expenses, right? To increase your NOI and that, multiple of your business. So that is going to be such a benefit to us because we're trialing a lot of AI products right now, in order to decrease our expenses and then improve our customer service, nationwide. So just wanted to show you, I know that was like a little demo, but how easy it really is to manage this. And I laugh because if a 72-year-old, which is definitely like my parents' age, can run a storage facility from a yellow pad piece of paper, like literally, I've had pictures taken, and they literally one page is every month, and if they can run it from a yellow page paper, I promise millennials or anyone else who buys a facility, you guys are going to do amazing work with the new technology that's in place and be able to 2x its value.
Well, and what a uh the what I really love about this model is, you made the point of no bathrooms, no tenants, etc. But also, it, ongoing cash flow is a beautiful thing. Anybody who's ever built a business, I've been in business for myself now for, oh, this is gonna date me, like 20 some odd years. And cash is still king.
Oh,
Anybody who says anything else is either full of shit or lying to you, because cash kills your business. Cash is the number one killer of a business. And so, it's all well and good to chase the high of a flip that gets you 100 grand, right? Or whatever.
yeah.
Or it's all well and good. But if you can get a solid, repeatable cash flowing business,
Yep.
I will take that 10 times out of 10 over some sexy, high numbered occasional revenue business, because those occasional revenue businesses can occasionally tank, and then you're faced with a cash deficit. But if you've got strong, repeated revenue, then really it is the most stable base on which you can build your future, build an asset class, and build a business that has a value to it, because other people buy cash flow. They
Yes.
don't buy, investors, of course, they want to see profit. Of course, they want to see net profit. Of course, they want to see all those things. They want to see growth. But if they're seeing repeatable, strong, growing revenues with a decent profit margin, your multiples
Mm.
for resale go skyrocketing up. Knowing a little bit behind the scenes of how you go about looking for these mom and pop places. So, Bree, why don't you dive into that? Because I think that's going to be something that was really interesting for people.
Yeah. So I think the one of the biggest questions like I get is like, how do you find good mom and pop storage facilities? So, I always like to say like we always like to look at the market, first, and then we're gonna look for unsophisticated ownership. But when you look in a self-storage market, you want to kind of look at, you don't want to look in these first and second tier markets where there is a lot of public storage and REITs. So public storage, extra space, like we do not want to compete with them. They're the big players. And so we like to look at like third and fourth tier markets, which are normally around a population of like 5,000 people all the way up to, maybe about 150,000. So that's a really nice sweet spot just to think in your head. And then the second part to that is, okay, who can afford storage, right? So we like areas and cities that have a medium household income of over like $50,000, which means that, yes, they're going to be able to pay for storage and continue to pay and have no issues. So I just wanted to share with you with that. And so what we're going to do is we're going to go on Google Maps, which is, you guys, this is how people find businesses, right, on their smartphones. And so it's easy, it's free. This is how I talk about this with my self storage school students is like, how do we find these small mom and pops? And then how do we, connect with them, build a relationship, and then, ask them if they want to consider an offer. So I'm just going to share my screen with you. So share, and I'll kind of walk you through. So if you guys are on the podcast, definitely check out the YouTube channel to check this out. But this is kind of how we like to do it. So, step one is I just, we're looking at buying a couple facilities similar into this market, but Sullivan, Missouri, just random market on Google Maps. You go in here, you actually click on this button that says nearby. And so once you click on nearby, you just write in self storage and click enter. And then what happens here is that you're going to see a lot of different red dots. And that's just, we call this the Google Map Pack when we go to find self storage facilities. And this really just indicates, okay, which ones here, like are mom and pop, and which ones have no websites. And so this is a perfect market, which is wild, you guys, that these facilities, like right here, no website, no website, like no website, like the list goes on. It's just wild how they're making money. And they're like, why would I have a website? Because I'm 100% full, right? And I've owned this for 10, 18 years. And so this is a great example. I'm just going to push this one right over here. Let's go check out central storage. Click on it. And I'm actually going to zoom in if you guys can see this, but beautiful facility right here on the main, like Highway 44. You guys can see from this view, a little extra space right here to probably add maybe RV and boats, some portable units. But for the most part, you guys, this one has no website at all. So they have to call. They literally have to physically call to ask if there is rentals available and how much money, right? We do not want that. We can easily add a, tech stack such as, a website, and then people can rent online just like we do with remote management. But from this like, street view, it's beautiful. Like it has a gate, it looks pretty. You can tell it's mom and pop because of the first photo that it has right here, as well as like there's no area code on this Google Map, listing. But another big key indicator that we like to look for is actually if it's four stars and below, or like 4 point stars and below, can indicate also that it is mom and pop and just might not be giving like the good best customer service possible, or they might be an absentee owner that is living in a different state. Another indicator can be like if you've got 15 reviews and less, that can also indicate it is a mom and pop. But for the most part, like we teach is like, hey, we want to call this owner, right? And it's not, I don't do anything fancy. I don't teach anything fancy, but it's more like, you call the owner and say, hi, is this the owner of Central Storage? Yes, it is. And they say, hi, my name's Bree. And I know this call just might be out of the blue, but I just was looking by your facility and we're looking to purchase one. I'm just curious if you would ever consider an offer on your storage facility. Just quiet, and you listen. And so the whole goal here is to build a relationship. And so we're cold calling, we're building a relationship with the seller. Even though he might not say, he might say no, I'm the queen at how can we keep them on this call, right? To get to know them. And so normally I will ask the owner, hey, Mr. Owner, like how long? Like I want to know, like, even though you're not interested in selling, it's fine. How did you buy this business, or how did you build this business? Like tell me about your story. And that's how you really create that relationship. And so we really teach like, making your list, right? And calling, building a relationship. And then at that point in time, when you do get someone to raise their hand, it's okay, let's send them an offer, right? On what we think it's worth, or a seller financing offer so that we can cash flow and then we can buy that business. And then we can then, add, revenue to it, or add any type of value add. So I just wanted to share with you, it's wild. Like people have no idea. They're like, oh, you're just, they hear no websites, and I'm not joking, you guys. There's so many facilities that don't have websites because they've owned it forever and it's full. And they're like, "Why would I break something that's already fixed, that's paying me cash flow?" So the list goes on, like, unsophisticated ownership, and so this is, you guys, the cheat code right now is buying these mom and pop facilities, adding value to them, right? And so we're in this buy market. Like, I called my financial advisor, he's like, "Bree, we're at the bottom." I'm like, "I know." He's like, "It's buy time." And I'm like, "Absolutely." And so we're in a buyer market finally. And right now, because people are scared, right? They don't know what's going to happen. We have a lot of owners raising their hands saying, "Hey, I've been waiting on the sidelines for 3 years. I want an offer and I'm looking to get out and retire and move on like with my life." So we have a lot of students right now buying these mom and pop facilities, and then we are, helping them add value to it, add these systems in place, and the goal is to double that value. So just wanted to share with you like how to find these facilities, and everyone that's listening to this should be doing this like now in the town that they live in, because that is your competitive advantage.
Fantastic. And what a cool way of demonstrating it live. Now you were talking about your students here. Let's close this podcast out with talking about your school, because I mean, not only, obviously you're teaching methods just like you demonstrated to us, but you're also teaching that execution element, how to put technology in, how to move, not just buy the deal, but how to make it a sustainable one, how to build the assets. So tell me a bit and tell everybody a little bit about the storage school, how you operate, and also how can people get in touch with you? How can people, benefit from all of the hard work you've already put in?
Yeah, absolutely. And so I always just say, we started self-storage school because you don't have to, do storage investing alone. Like when I started, there really wasn't any education programs or anyone like teaching in this asset. And so, what we do is it's a 12-month program, and we really help people like, how do you find, buy and then analyze and then operate your first storage facility correctly so that you can do it well and then do it 10 times faster. So self-storage school always like is open. And so we actually really like walk people through, we onboard them, do a 6-week course, and we also have an off-market pipeline. So where we share with you guys deals that, we're doing and ones that are available that might not meet our buy box, but we might be like, "Hey, that's a perfect opportunity to purchase." So, yeah, if you guys are interested in wanting to like get in and buy your first facility, definitely make sure to reach out. Storage School right now is open. And so if you guys want to, I'll send the link over to Jordan. But if you just send me a text message, this is my business phone number, to 916 and just say school, and where we heard from the podcast. And then what we'll do is just send you over just an application, and we'll get on a call and see if it's a good fit.
Fantastic. Well, I think it's phenomenally interesting, particularly right now where, so many markets, the single family home methods that were working are in flux. Some places are working great. Some places, like, people think it's just a terrible market all around. It's not. It's absolutely not, but it's a fluctuating market. And so I think this is a really cool opportunity to look at new methods. I love, I'll say it 4 times if I have to. I love cash flowing businesses. Cash to me matters more than anything in a business, because I've also owned businesses that were failing on cash, and I know exactly how that fucking feels, and it doesn't feel very good. Cash is absolutely king. It always will be for me. And how you've presented this, there's such a clarity to the business model, which I love. How you think about it, how you have understood what you want, and not only what you want, but what this model can really bring you, not just on the sexy big numbers, but that repeatable cash flow. So what we'll do is we'll put all those links and we'll put them through to our community, all the phone number as well. Close out by just what's next for you. I mean,
Yeah.
what's exciting for you right now, and what's out?
Hands down, yeah, and I think it's also like you said something like a really good point, and it's figuring out, right? It's like what asset class is going to work for you, but really reverse engineering like your lifestyle. Like for me, my biggest part is I love boring businesses, and self storage fit very well because I want more time and freedom with my daughter, right? Like those are the two things that I define as success is like being able to have slow mornings, right? Like slow mornings with her and then being able to put my head down on a pillow and be like, I'm not worried about toilets or like stressed out. And self storage was perfect. And so just reverse engineering, like making sure you reverse engineer what you really want and being able to do that with your family and time. And it's definitely was that self storage like asset class. But I guess like for me, like my biggest part right now is it's scaling, right? It's buy time. So we're on the phones. We have our own acquisition team and so I'm actively like in the trenches, buying these facilities right now and then showing my students, like, hey, this is what we're doing by adding this technology and this is how we're decreasing expenses. So, our goal this year is really to add it's like 6 to 7 storage facilities to our portfolio, in addition to partnering with other students and like bringing deals to them as well. So yeah, lots of exciting things. It's fun because I know you live in Poland, and so I actually last year went to Greece and Croatia, and my goal is to buy a facility in another country. And so I know I was like, absolutely. I was like, I want.
I've already started looking. I kid you not. I was talking to a couple people in some of our joint colleagues. I won't name them today, but I've genuinely been looking at putting together a fund for Poland and Romania,
Huge.
because there's a huge opportunity in self storage and in assisted living homes, and there's just a massive glut of opportunity right now, and not enough cash.
And no
So
one and no one's really they're 20, 30 years behind us. And so that's what's incredible is they have,
big
they are
opportunity.
also buying new things and they have smaller homes. And so they need places to store. So I actually visited a few owners in Greece and Croatia just to hear, right, how they're using their stuff. So I just wanted a shameless plug for fun. The goal is to buy one, in another country. But that's kind of what I'm looking forward to. And, I think this asset class is constantly growing, evolving, and it's only going to get bigger and better, especially as we have AI and new technology. And I think just being at the forefront of that and buying when it's this opportunity is right now, it's like it's buy time where you can negotiate good deals. So just wanted to just share that because I think that is important, for people to know.
Fantastic. Well, listen, Bree, it was a genuine pleasure to see you again. I so enjoyed meeting you in Orlando. I look forward to our next conversation, and thank you so much for coming and sharing the wisdom and sharing how you go about with self storage to the podcast.
And one last thing I did want to give though for your listeners, and I forgot to mention it, is we do have a free like storage offer calculator. So just for your listeners and just like wanting to look at, the deals and what it's actually worth. So I'll put that link below as well, so that you guys can take a look at just that cheat code on like how do you actually evaluate a deal. So that will be fun for you guys to check out.
Oh, perfect. So everybody, fantastic give from Bree. I appreciate that, Bree, and thank you so much. I can't wait to our next conversation.
Thank you. That's been awesome.
Thanks for listening to another amazing episode of That Real Estate Tech Guy. Head over to thatrealestatetechguy.com to check out all episodes and get special discounts on tons of awesome real estate technology platforms.